Hey guys.
Happy Sunday. So we took last Sunday off for Easter, which means we now have 2 weeks of utility drama to update you on. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the good stuff. So when we last left you, we had been without a hot water heater for I think about 2 weeks while we worked on trying to repair it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I'm happy to say we are back to the world of hot water again. So it took replacing 3 parts, including 2 that you managed to get new but through a secondhand market.
Yeah.
And the final result, hot water. So 250 euros in for the repair.
Yeah, a little under 250.
Yeah. So ouch, but way less ouch than if we'd had to go buy a new hot water heater right now. So very pleased with that. Now, in the world of not so good utility news, we have now had 3 appointments for our fiber optic. So, okay, the first time they came, they told us that we needed to cut a bunch of branches, and we showed you that it was basically like taking down 10 to 12 trees. Quite a bit of work and in a very quick turnaround. So, got that done. Then a new guy comes. He looks at the work. He says it's good. He can do the job, but he says he needs a colleague and a bucket truck, and that means we will need to make a new appointment.
Yeah, at that point, we were still feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, because we thought, okay, we're close. Because even when he was here, he said, don't worry, this will be taken care of next time. Cool. So then this week, we had a 3rd technician. So each time it's been somebody different who's come. This time, the guy came without a colleague and without the bucket truck, the 2 things that were supposed to happen on this trip. And he then decided that he wanted more branches cut along the roadway. Now, I can tell you, at least in our opinion, there are no trees obstructing any of the area where the lines need to go in now. But that's fine. That's what he said. He decided that this was the mayor's or the mayor's responsibility and told us we would need to go to the mayor's office and ask them to do that. So we then on that day made a surprise trip to the mayor's office to ask them to cut all of these trees. At which point they were super, super nice, but said that it was not their responsibility and that it was not ours either. And they were very adamant that we just needed to tell the fiber company that they needed to come do their job, and that was that. So at this point, we don't have a whole lot of confidence that this is going to happen. The 3 people that we were talking to at the mayor's office basically were like, oh, it's that company, you need this other one instead, and they really just recommended that we start over. So that's what we're in the middle of doing now. So we'll see. But hot water, that's better than we were.
That's all you need in life is hot water.
Hot water. Internet connection, that's not important for work or anything, no. Anyway, so that's where we're at with all of that work. Now, in the 2 weeks that we've been busy with since we checked in with you guys, let's see. We took a trip to Christian Dior's garden. This is something we've done before. It's a free garden. It's beautiful. We had been once before in the summer. Mm-hmm. So I was curious to go in the spring and see what was blooming. And I think probably this summer is the prettiest time of year in that garden from what I've seen, but spring was certainly pretty as well. So we'll take you on a garden tour of that this week. We also went to some of our favorite vide greniers in the last 2 weeks, including one that is at a blimp hangar, which is, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. So we did take some footage of that as well to show you inside the hangar and really the exterior as well and just how huge it is. And then we have some show and tell with our finds as well. So we've found some good things recently. What else? Mr. Huff is cooking again this week. So last time he showed you how he makes pan pizza, and this time he's going to be sharing
our family kettle corn recipe.
Yeah, guys, this is a winner. We have made a ton of kettle corn over the years just for our own snacking, but it's also something we like to do for birthday parties. We've always in the past done a lot of kind of like backyard movies and stuff for the kids' parties.
You won't believe how simple it is.
Yeah, it's a great recipe. So I'm probably forgetting a few things, but I guess we'll see them soon enough in the video. Now, before we jump into everything this week, I did want to mention Mr. Huff and I had been talking recently, and we realized we still haven't really shown you a whole lot of the house. We've shown you some of the rooms, but there's quite a bit left to go. And we haven't done a garden tour in a while, and I think it's nice every so often to do a tour just to give you some perspective of where we're at in the projects, what we've managed to get done, what we still have ahead of us, and also just what is blooming in this yard at different times of the year. Because there are things that are blooming now that we didn't have coming up last year, which I think was a direct result of some of the clearing out of invasives. So things that were maybe being choked out before now are able to thrive. So I feel like every time we go out in the yard at the moment, I'm seeing something that I didn't see last year. So we'll do a garden tour for sure. And then I think we'll also do a tour of our primary bedroom and bathroom. We have not shown you the studio since we got all of our stuff here and have moved into that space. Where else? Oh, and we've never really truly done a tour of the Jeep dining room. So you've maybe seen bits and pieces of it, like in our holiday tour and those sorts of things. But we also want to take time to really show you the whole space, how we've furnished it, where things have come from, how we've done everything on the cheap. So yeah, I think that's about like 4 or 5 weeks as we'll do those home tour videos. So something a little different that we've been doing lately, and I think hopefully you guys will really enjoy it because it's fun for us to be able to show you how we're doing all of this as frugally as possible, because we don't like to spend money. Definitely are trying to furnish the house as cheaply as possible, but also being really mindful of doing things with quality materials. So we don't want to fill the house with a bunch of things we don't love, but we don't want to spend a ton of money either. So there's a balance between those two things. So, you ready to get to it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Last Sunday, we attended a vide grenier at a World War II blimp hangar. The large scale of this building is absolutely mind-boggling. Now, I thought these little mini blimps were basically museum pieces to give you an idea of what they looked like. But when we got home, Mr. Huff looked it up, and apparently you can fly around on them inside the hangar. It's crazy stuff. I will include a link if you want to go check it out because the video footage is crazy. And yes, this is definitely going on our to-do list. I don't think these guys knew what to make of all the humans who suddenly showed up to shop in the neighboring field. Okay, so we went to 5 vide greniers today. Let me show you what we found. So Mr. Huff got a really good old school tire pump for €5. I got a sweater for 4. A big, I would say this is a gallon size jar for €2, and I plan to use this to store all of the dried bay leaves off of our trees. And then I got another Bosch spice grinder. So I like to have more than one spice grinder so I can use them for specific tasks. So I have one that I only use for peppers and one that I only use for herbs. That way we're not trading flavors back and forth. So I have all of my current ones are Bosch. I really find they work well. So this was a great deal at €2. I think my other ones were like 20 buying them new. We got a Bluetooth speaker for €2. So another great deal. A heat gun for 5. So this is us working on replacing tools that we had to sell in the US because they had the wrong cords. And then some more tubing for dehumidifiers for their draining. This was our biggest purchase of the day. We paid 20 euros, but that's enough tubing for however many dehumidifiers we have over the long haul. And then a flower pot for 5 euros. So currently all of my herbs are in pots that look just like this one, and they drain really well. So happy to have that. I'm going to plant my cilantro in that one. So not a ton of purchases, but all things that were on our need list. So very happy with our outing. And I almost forgot, I also picked up this sedum because, as we know, it would not be a vide grenier for me if I didn't come home with some sort of succulent or sedum for the rock wall garden.
Hey guys, I thought I would take another turn in the kitchen this week and share our family's kettle corn recipe. Now, this is just like the stuff you get at festivals. It's a little salty, a little sweet, but without the big price tag. Now, this only takes 4 ingredients. So you've got your popcorn, of course. You've got a little sugar. You've got your cooking oil. In this case, I'm using a vegetable oil. And you've got your salt. And I'm going to be making that in a whirly pop. So this has a paddle on the bottom that helps you stir the popcorn and keeps it from burning. But if you don't have one of these, you can also use a pot like this. What you would do, you would just add all your ingredients and just pick it up off the eye and shake it every few seconds. That'll keep it from burning the popcorn on the bottom. So let's get started. So you're going to use high heat. I'm going to start by adding our cooking oil. Then we're going to take 3 kernels. 1, 2, 3. We're going to pop those in and wait for things to pop. What we're doing with those 3 kernels is we're waiting for our oil to get hot enough to add the rest of our kernels. So this could take a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. There's 1 pop, 2 pops, 3 pops. So we're going to take the rest of our popcorn and add that. And then we're going to also add our sugar. So at this point, you want to start turning your whirly pop because you don't want that sugar to burn. And you don't have to turn real fast. Just slow is fine. So when we added some of that popcorn and sugar, it brought the temperature of the oil back down. So it takes another 30 seconds to a minute or so to heat the oil back up. So we should be popping again here in a minute. But it's very important to keep turning this because if you don't, you'll end up with something that looks like burnt Cracker Jack instead of kettle corn. All right, we're starting to pop again. And once it starts popping, it goes pretty fast. Looks like we're pretty much done here. I'm just going to transfer this into a bowl. But let's add some salt. All right, finished product. As usual, we'll include a link to the recipe in the description below the video, which includes tips on the best popcorn to use when making kettle corn.
This week we carved out some time to take a walk through Christian Dior's garden, and we thought we would take you along with us.